Hey everyone, I'm Rob from Switchback Electric Bikes. Welcome to another episode of Shop Talk. Today I have another topic that I get asked frequently about, and that has to do with what's the difference between an e-bike versus an e-motorcycle. Well, I'm here to break that down for you today. But first, let me start off by saying I appreciate both e-bikes and e-motorcycles. There's just a difference both in laws and in function and where you could ride them safely per the laws we have. Okay, first let's start with e-bikes. What makes a bike an e-bike? Well, an e-bike is specified as a bike that has pedals that you could actually pedal the bike, and it has a motor that assists you. Some have throttles, some don't, but those would fall under the e-bike category, and those are able to ride on bike trails and a lot of other places unless they specifically say they do not allow e-bikes. Now, when we get into e-motorcycles, that's a very tricky topic because I'm sure everyone has seen a kid in their neighborhood fly by on a mini electric motorcycle, like a Sur-Ron, a Teleria, or any of those other brands out there. Those are great bikes and they're very fun. I have nothing bad to say about them, but they are technically considered motorcycles. There is no cranks that you could pedal that bike, and if an electric bike doesn't have cranks, it falls under California laws that, mind you, this is in California where we're based out of. Laws may vary from state to state, but here in California, an e-motorcycle is defined as a bike that doesn't have pedals. So therefore, when we get into wanting to ride those, you run it up against a lot of things. First and foremost, what the laws dictate. For the same reason, you technically aren't supposed to go out and ride your 450 dirt bike that you would take out on a motocross track and go ride it down your main street. There's a reason for that. If you build a bike that is going to be street legal and is a motorcycle, many qualifications have to be met. Like that bike needs to have high and low beams. You need to have DOT approved tires on that bike. The bike needs to have a horn, needs to have turn signals, needs to have high and low beams. So, and a kickstand per se. So with that said, a Sur-Ron typically isn't considered an e-bike. That is considered an e-motorcycle or an EMX. Whereas a mountain bike, which is what I specialize in, or a other form of electric bike, would be considered an e-bike would be EMTB. No, yeah, mountain bike, yeah, EMTB. Whereas the other one is EMX. So, with that said, that leaves me into a whole nother arena. Also, when you see a kid riding a Sur-Ron or Teleria or any such bike, and you see them riding with a bike helmet, bike helmets are only rated to take crashes up to a certain speed, which is generally 15 miles an hour for most bike helmets. That's why when you go to a motocross track, you don't see a pro rider or any other rider taking laps on the track in a bike helmet or a skateboard helmet. They just aren't up to the task for protecting your head under those circumstances. If you choose to ride a EMX bike or an e-motorcycle, you need to use a DOT approved helmet, one that can handle much higher speeds and can protect your head in the event of a crash. I wouldn't put my own kids out on an EMX bike without a proper helmet, and that would be a motorcycle, dirt bike helmet. I would not put them on any mountain bike helmet or any bike helmet. Generally, you need to be aware of what you're buying when you go out to purchase either an e-bike or an e-motorcycle. And places you could ride those bikes greatly vary too. If you take your e-motorcycle out to a mountain bike dominated area that's specifically designed, built, and maintained by mountain bikers or other BMX tracks, those tracks will not hold up. They'll get a lot of erosion and a lot of ruts put into them from the extra power that an e-motorcycle has. And you'll end up getting a lot of hate from the local bike riders. So what we all want is to all get along and all go out and have fun. And I'm all about it. Whether you're riding a motorcycle, an e-motorcycle, or one of my bikes. They all fill a different niche and they all are for different types of riding. You can ride these bikes and all these different bikes on various terrains, but they come with consequences and they come with a lot of social consequences with, like if you're riding on a bike path and you're on your Sur-Ron and you're doing a wheelie and you zoom past, you know, your grandma and grandpa who are just out taking a Sunday stroll, they may feel very unsafe by that and might spew some hate your way. And then you might feel one way or another to reply. And I kind of understand that. These bikes weren't made for that. They were meant to be ridden in motocross dominated areas, whereas electric bikes are meant to be ridden in more mountain bike trails or on bike specific trails. So a couple key points I'm going to wrap up real quick so it's easy for you to identify what it is you're buying and what it is classifies the two different bikes. I'm going to use a Sur-Ron because I feel they're the most popular. Sur-Rons don't have pedals, they have pegs. That makes them fall under, and by California terms, they fall under motorcycle law and is twice as heavy to not 3 times as heavy, and also goes twice to 3 times as fast. An e-bike technically should top out at 28 miles an hour. There are high-powered electric bikes, but by California law, an electric bike isn't supposed to go faster than 28 miles an hour. So any law that pertains to a motorcycle will pertain to those bikes, whereas an electric bike technically falls under bike laws because it's considered a bike, not a motorcycle. Now, let's talk about e-bikes. E-bikes have pedals. With the motor off, you're still able to pedal the bike like a traditional bike. An e-bike will weigh 60 pounds or less. An e-bike is going to go much slower because the motor it has on it is a much smaller motor. And also, an e-bike is going to have bike tires that are much taller than a motorcycle tires. So a top speed for a California street legal e-bike is 28 miles an hour, whereas a Sur-Ron out of the box could easily do 40 miles an hour, and if you make easy modifications, could do upwards of 60. That makes them, there again, qualify as motorcycles. The reason I felt the need for this video is because I see so many kids getting their bikes impounded, and I see kids riding in skateboard helmets, in bike helmets, and that's just not safe. I don't think the people are educated enough, and I think a lot of dealers of these bikes don't go into any of this because they just want to move product. And that's fine, but you should be educated of what you're buying. So ask the questions, find out what this bike's classification is, whatever bike it is you want to buy, a Super 73, a Sur-Ron, a Tuleria, or one of my bikes. They all come with different classifications and different laws governing them. Okay, and one other important thing that is overlooked. There's a lot of mountain bikers out there that spend endless hours maintaining the trails, building the jumps, clearing brush, and a lot of hours go into them building those trails. So when you're out there and you're on these trails, remember not to destroy them and tread as lightly as you can, because your bike is a lot heavier if you're on an e-motorcycle, And those jumps and those terrain weren't designed for it. And those trails have a lot of hours and a lot of hard work by a lot of people that goes into them. So just be respectful, ride in areas that you think are appropriate. And if you come across locals and local trail builders, you know, just give them a shout out and say, hey, are you guys cool? Because we could all get along, we could all use the trails, and we could all have fun. It just has to be a matter of respect and understanding. So use your head and be safe. I hope this video helps and sheds light on the different two, and let's all get along and enjoy the streets, the trails, or wherever else you want to ride. And that'll wrap it up. So thanks for watching. I hope this answers some questions. And drop a comment, drop a like, and subscribe if you want to learn more about the e-community as a whole. Hit the like button, subscribe, and comment. I'll get back to them as quickly as I can. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.